OMG, these Neo buildings are absolutely badass. Hey folks, it's Bardo here. You know, there is no question you want as many of these Neo buildings as you can possibly get. So let's dive into which ones are the best and why. Today we are ranking Neo buildings from 1 to 22. All right, let's do it.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday to you.
Greetings and salutations, my fellow forgers. Thank you so much for checking out my latest video. You know, I'm in kind of a celebratory mood today because about a week or so ago, this channel experienced its first birthday. Now, I know this is not why you chose to watch this video, but I just want to take a brief moment to say a few things about this first year and what I've learned, what my intention is for the purpose of the channel going forward. And hey, look, if you'd rather not listen to this part, no problem. All you got to do, skip ahead to the next chapter. So about a year ago, I had no idea what I really was trying to do. You know, you can go back and watch my very first video. You can see it here on the screen. You can kind of see how cringy it was. Now, I don't know, maybe you guys think my videos are still cringy, but the analytics show that maybe I am doing a few things right, and these numbers have certainly taught me a few things. You know, I've watched these metrics and I've tried to listen to all the feedback from you guys, and all of this has shaped my vision for the channel going forward. So maybe as I talk about the identity and future of this channel, maybe it helps to start with where I'm at the game myself. So just real quick, you know, I've been playing for 5 years strong. I am sure I've played at least a little bit every single day for the last 5 years. And just yesterday, I aged up to virtual futures. My plan really is to be here for as little time as possible. Maybe a week or so. But I play on the US server in Langendorn. I have been in a total of 5 guilds, and I have tremendously enjoyed being a member of the guild Deliberate Chaos now for the last 2.5 years. Gosh, I didn't realize it had been that long until I looked it up this morning. But hey, a shout out to my fellow guildmates there at DC. You know, y'all are the best. No, literally, they are the best. We are the undisputed #1 guild in Langendorn. And I mean, I hate to brag, but damn, we have worked hard to get there. So, you know, I don't mind saying that. So here's the thing. So yeah, I mean, I'm a member of the #1 guild, and I have learned a ton from my guildies, but I am not an elite player, nor do I intend to act like I am. I mean, you can see right here, I am currently ranked number 64 out of 79 members of my guild. So I know I am not all that, right? I'm not what the cool kids would call a whale, which I have learned as a player who spends a ton of money to be dominant in a game. I mean, I probably spend small amounts on the game, maybe 3-4 times a year. I do that when it seems to make sense to do it. So that's the thing. I'm not elite, but I am surrounded by elite players. I do not call myself an expert, but I am surrounded by experts. So, you know, I mean, I do believe I have something to offer. Now, look, I know that not every player is going to find value in my channel, and that's cool. That's cool. I mean, that's fine. I'm sure a lot of big-time players feel that my content is maybe kind of basic and maybe kind of obvious. So my primary audience is not really those players. Now, some of them come and watch and they engage with the channel, and that's certainly appreciated. It's really cool. But I realize they're probably not learning much here. No, this channel is mainly intended to be of most benefit probably to the more average to above average players, or those who are fairly new to the game and looking for pointers or what to expect as they progress through the ages. And yes, every once in a while I get a hater on here. I mean, it's YouTube, so, you know, that's what's going to happen. It's just part of it. I mean, look, this is a fun game that we like to play. And I just get on here trying to offer a few ideas and perspectives. So, I mean, if that's too much for you and you want to be a turd in the punch bowl, then go for it. All right, so I just want to thank everyone for supporting the channel. At least enough to help me get to the 1 year mark. I mean, My goal is to continue to improve and obviously to put together the kind of content that you are looking for. So look, as long as you're watching and engaging, I certainly plan to keep on rolling. All right, now let's get into the real reason you clicked this video, right? Let's talk about these Neo buildings. Now, if you play Quantum Incursions, you are likely fully aware of just how awesome these buildings are. If you do not play QI, then hopefully this video will provide a little motivation for you to get into this feature, as you become more aware of just how powerful these buildings are. Now, before I throw this ranking list on the screen, I just want to mention a couple things about it. Okay, now first, these rankings, the values are based on a GBG mindset, okay? None of these buildings give QI boost, right? It's not based on forge points or goods or any of those auxiliary items. It is all about how these buildings are going to help you in GBG. The other thing I wanted to mention is the formula that I used for this, the scoring that I used. It gives a 10% increased weight towards both blue and red attack, right? And the reason I did that is because the boost you get from the AO. I mean, obviously attack numbers should be worth more, especially if your AO is at a high level. I mean, heck, maybe I should have even put more than the additional 10% on those actually. So, without further ado, here is my ranking for those Neo buildings. Now, I'm not going to talk about every single building, of course, but I do want to mention 3 or 4 things that just really stand out to me. Now, first of all, and look, this should be the most obvious thing as we look at this list, but clearly, checkmate squares are the cream of the crop. They are the best of the best. I mean, with level 1 and level 2 being head and shoulders above the rest at the top of this list right here. I mean, this should tell you what you need to know about those checkmates. They are freaking awesome. The other thing I want to point out here, and I want to emphasize something that I find very, very interesting. Now, what you see here is a breakdown of the list according to which of these buildings need roads and which do not, right? So obviously the ones that are highlighted in blue, these do not need roads. So what do you see here? I mean, most of the best building in terms of the military score that you see there in the middle column there, most of the best buildings in terms of the military score also do not need roads, which makes them even more valuable. I just find that very interesting, because if it were the other way around and it was a situation where some of the higher scoring buildings needed to be on roads and they kind of offset each other a little bit, that would be one thing. But most of the best buildings do not need to be on roads. And I think that's really interesting. Now, the other thing I wanted to highlight here is now what you're seeing is that this is the list that it's broken down by which buildings are available with that 2020 summer selection kit, right? The ones that you see highlighted in blue here, these are the buildings that are available in that selection kit. So, I mean, it just goes to show you, I don't know if you're like me, but I mean, I found myself getting a lot of fragments for that kit through events and through QI fights. So, if you have a lot of these, this list is going to help you determine which ones you should be assembling. For example, it would be a huge mistake if you were to use those kits on botanical rotundas instead of using them on kings. I mean, you see kings at the top of the list. You see botanical rotundas at the bottom of the list. They're both available in that kit. So you definitely don't want to be using, you don't want to be wasting those kits. And then the last thing I wanted to point out is this, I did not base this ranking entirely on the military score. I mean, if you take a look here, some of the ones that were relatively close in score, they were determined ultimately by some other factors. So for example, look at that level 11 Colossus, which I think I've got it ranked number 3. Now that building is such an awesome building, right? You can see that I've got it scored at 739. I mean, that's the military score that it gets, but I put it 3rd ahead of the Tactician's Tower because of a couple of main reasons. Number 1, I mean, it doesn't need to be on a road, but number 2, and this was the big one, you get an automatic guaranteed 10 fragments of the Neo Marble Gateway frags, with that every single time. And heck, if you start using your Blue Galaxy on that, which you definitely should every single time, use your Blue Galaxy charge on that. You can, most of the time, you'll get 20 fragments of a Neo Marble Gateway. So that definitely makes the Colossus level 11 a really, really awesome building when you're getting those frags for the Marble Gateways. In fact, I want to point out, I mean, all the Colossus from level 8 on up give either 4 or 10 frags of those Marble Gateways, which is super awesome. And that's really valuable, especially when you're doubling those with your Blue Galaxy. So, and I just wanted to point out another example of, you know, where there was some close scoring and I gave an edge to something else. If you look down there and you see the towards the bottom of the list, the Winner's Plaza 1s and the Tactician's Tower 1s and the Sense all tied to 317. I mean, I gave the edge to the Winner's Plazas because those give troops, and that's pretty significant as well. So, but this is what I came up with, folks. Certainly, other folks might have some different ideas about what this might look like. But I think by and large, this scoring is based on the facts of what the military numbers are, right? Like this really isn't all that subjective. It's primarily based on those military scores there. So, but hey, I mean, if you've got some different viewpoints on this, if you think I've got some of these kind of mixed up, I'd love to hear your perspective on that. This list is not the be all and end all, but hopefully the point of it is to at least, it can be a little bit confusing when you're trying to decide how to use those 2024 summer selection kits, or when you're trying to prioritize which buildings you need to make sure you're making space for in your city. Then hey, that's about all I got. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up. I would love to hear your thoughts on this ranking. And again, I really appreciate you supporting this channel. It sure has been a lot of fun. And on that note, until next time, forge on, my friends, forge on. We'll see you next time.